justice practices promote positive relationships between peers and between students and teachers, as well as it promotes pro-social behavior through the development of social and emotional skills. And it is within this context that our ministry has been very keen to collaborate with the Ministry of Justice on this program. And so this morning, again, I want to commend all the students, parents, and the teachers who participated. We want you to spread the word. We want you to practice what you've learned. And as Ms. Bogle said this morning to all parents, when your child comes to speak with you, do not run your child. Listen to your child. They could be telling you something very important for you to act on. And so I want to say thank you again to our team at the Ministry of Education and Youth, led by Mr. Troop, and to the team at the Ministry of Justice for this significant collaboration. And Minister Chuck, we have to find the resources to continue this program for as long as possible so that we touch on all our schools across Jamaica. And we have 1,000 schools, Minister Chuck, primary and high school. So you can see that we do have much work ahead of us. But we are committed because this is an important message, an important gospel for our children, our parents, and our teachers, and for all of Jamaicans to learn. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I look forward to handing out some of these certificates to the students, parents, and teachers who participated. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for those remarks, Minister Williams. And of course, you would have heard Minister reinforcing some of the principles that you would have learned for your during your restorative justice 2-day training. Next, we will hear from the Honorable Delroy Chuck. But before he comes, just to make you aware that Minister is currently, you see how RJR do these cross-country trips? Minister is doing his cross-country public awareness campaign with the social justice programs of the Ministry of Justice. So while restorative justice is, can I say his? It's really ours because we own it. Restorative justice program, we also have the child diversion program, victim services, and of course he's also promoting mediation. All the ways, the social ways to help our society deal with issues when they come up. As Minister Williams said, sometimes we just need a little cooling out period, count to 10, whatever it takes, before you respond. Because sometimes just by responding, you could lose your life. And apart from losing your life, you could also lose your freedom, if not losing your life, by spending time in the prison over some very simple matters that could have been dealt with differently. If you had just taken the time to just step back and look at what you're really responding to. So at this time, Minister Chuck, without further ado, I'm going to invite Minister Chuck, Minister of Justice, to make his remarks at this time. Please make him welcome.
Thank you very much, Permanent Secretary Grayson McFarlane, my colleague Minister Williams, who is about to do an outside broadcast, from the Ministry of Education, Dr. Caston Troop and Mr. Richard Troop, Vice Principal, Jamaica College. Thank you for having us here, sir. Ms. Andreen Lindsay, to members of the press, police officers, parents, teachers, students who are here. let me say how happy I am that you have all joined us this morning to really celebrate a very successful program. We started this program with an MOU, as Minister Williams indicated, on May the 3rd. And in less than 10 weeks, we were able to sensitize and train a number of persons, parents, teachers, and students in 104 schools. That is very successful. But I dare say the mission of the Ministry of Justice with restorative justice is to ensure that restorative justice is taken across the length and breadth of Jamaica in every single school, in the churches, in the communities, in the business institutions, in all of the various government offices, departments, because we know that restorative justice can assist in restoring relationship between persons in all of these institutions. Let me make the point that just 12 years ago, during my first stint as Minister of Justice, I came upon the program, and I wondered why this program was not being promoted in Jamaica. And when I came back to the ministry in 2016, we definitely decided that we had to put in place the Restorative Justice Act. And then from 2018 to 2019, we have been trying to ensure that right across Jamaica, that people know about restorative justice. We have succeeded in getting the information to a wide variety of communities, but we have also ensured that the opportunity for restorative justice to be known and to be practiced and to be used every day can become a reality. So we have in fact put in place 20 restorative justice centers in all 14 parishes. To the best of my knowledge, many of the coordinators of this program are here. Can you stand up, the coordinators from Port and all the parishes? I don't know where you are. Just stand up, all the coordinators from the different parishes. You can see every parish has a coordinator. And I can tell you, thanks, I can sit. Every parish has a coordinator. And apart from the coordinator, they have liaison officers. They have trained restorative justice facilitators. And the idea is that they will bring the practice of restorative justice into every nook and cranny of the parishes. I was very pleased that Minister Williams and myself, along with Ms. Andreen Lindsay and Dr. Richard and Mr. Richard Troop, that we were able to work out this MOU to start the process in the schools. We will continue in September, and when we finish, we hope that all schools at all levels will definitely know about restorative justice. But that is only the beginning. Within the schools, we hope that restorative justice can be taught and practiced. That is the indication that I have sent to the minister and our team, because we feel that in the schools, youngsters quite naturally get into disputes, get into conflicts, abuse one another. And these are a natural part of the growing up process. And because of that, we feel they need the skills to be able to resolve their differences, to be able to settle their disagreements, and to avoid the use of violence and abuses to settle these disagreements. It's very important that we appreciate that Jamaica at this moment is being torn apart by wrongdoings of all kinds. crime, violence, conflicts, disagreements are causing homes, institutions, communities to be at war. You may think that every home, because the parents are there with their children, that there's peace and harmony. The truth of the matter is that many homes, you have infighting between parent and child, between parents, between neighbors, in the churches where you should have peace and love. Believe me, there are more conflicts than you can imagine. In the schools, we have identified them. And across Jamaica, we need to find ways and means to settle our conflicts. What is happening now is that many communities, many persons believe that the only way that to settle their disagreement and conflicts is with the use of violence, abuses, and machete, knife, and stone. That is not the way we are to settle our disputes across Jamaica. And that is why I feel that we can use restorative justice. And while we're doing the schools, we hope to engage all the churches across Jamaica to engage in restorative justice practice. And we have been in touch with the Church of God and also the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And we hope to be involved with all the other churches to ensure that they too are not only sensitized, but they utilize restorative justice. And I know all of us here have an understanding of what restorative justice is. But for those who are listening and those who are not aware, I just want to quote a few definitions of what restorative justice is and what the policy of the government will be as we pursue restorative justice. So restorative justice has been defined as a process whereby all the parties with a stake in a particular offense come together to resolve collectively how to deal with the aftermath of the offense and its implications for the future. In short, restorative justice is a process through which remorseful offenders accept responsibility for their misconduct to those injured and to the community that in response allows the reintegration of the offender into the school, into the classroom, into the community. The emphasis is on restoration. Restoration of the offender in terms of his or her self-respect, restoration of the relationship between offender and victims, as well as restoration of both offenders and victims within the community. Let me say, the intention of restorative justice is a different way of thinking about wrongdoing and our response to wrongdoing. It focuses on the harm caused by the wrong, sometimes the crime or the injury, repairing the harm done to victims and reducing future harm by preventing and avoiding retaliation and further wrongs. It requires offenders to take responsibility for their actions and for the harm they have caused. It seeks to redress the victims, recompense by offenders, and reintegration of both within the community, and is achieved through the strong cooperation between parties and the communities. I make these points because it must be noted that restorative justice is not only a philosophy, it's a practical way for people to get on with one another. It's a practical way to say to offenders of any wrong, take responsibility for your wrongdoing. We have too many in Jamaica where when people engage in wrongdoing, they hide. They cover it up. They refuse to face the fact that they have done wrong. And that is the very basis of restorative justice. Getting wrongdoers to accept that they have committed wrongs. Once that is done, the process can begin. So let me say that this is the beginning of the process within the schools. I attended only a couple of the sessions. I was so very pleased when I went to Augustown Primary School and to hear the testimonials from the young children who basically said that they explained how they feel restorative justice can assist them in settling their matters with one another, but also to avoid escalation of the conflict and to avoid further retaliation. That is very important. And I was so pleased that the children were absorbing the core of what restorative justice is. So I want all of you here and those listening that you must be the messenger of this practical use of restorative justice. All of you, including myself and all the coordinators who are here, will be apostles of restorative justice, justice that heals. It is important for us to do so if we're going to restore Jamaica to a just, peaceful, cohesive, and prosperous place. Without us being able to cure the culture of wrongdoing and finding skillful ways to deal with our problems, then we will not move forward. Yes, restorative justice is not the panacea to solve all problems. But I have no doubt if we get our communities to utilize it, then it will be a step forward in building a more peaceful and harmonious Jamaica. So to all of you who have benefited, I urge you, be the peacemaker, be the messenger, be the apostle to ensure that this practice is utilized and reduce conflicts across Jamaica. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much, Minister, for those words. And of course, you'd have heard all the charge that Minister would have given you about the restorative justice program, and most of all, be the messenger and apostle of this program. It works. All right. So at this time on the program, we are doing quite well with time. I am going to, is Charlie Mount here? Is Charlie Mount here? Charlie Smith, I'm sorry. Is Charlie Smith High School here, Miss Banks? Charlie Smith? Okay, I'm going to invite. Oh, sorry. Yeah, well. Charlie Smith, can I ask you to do your item now, and then we will go to the presentation of certificates for Region 1 and 2.
Greetings and love, everyone. Hello to everyone. My name is Kadeem Wilson, aka Kenzik. I am a live performance artist and a Jamaican film star. I am here representing my school. I'm a teacher at the Charlie Smith High School in the capacity of the theater arts teacher, and I'll be doing 2 items for you, 2 songs.
Yeah.
Can you just for me a little bit there, please? I'm going to talk to you a little bit. Zane?
Yeah.
Cool. Turn the lights on. She trying to treat me like an iPhone. And finally, I roll my tights on. Hey, for the finish was a tight one. Turn the lights on, hey. Make sure you sit this on your iPhone. Only finally I roll my tights on. Hey, for the finish was a tight one. Balance me, move left them. Yeah, goals of make a you set them. When you want bonus split, you work harder for blame. Family me love, so me work harder for them. Yeah, we move left them. Yeah, goals of make a you set them. When you want bonus split, you work harder for blame. Family me love, so me work harder for them. Hold on, give me a second. Big plans to have a wife. Storytelling on my life and music, I'm a weapon. Tell me what you reckon. Family over any other. Spend $1, $50, cow hungry belly bacon. Yeah, the fire start when you win them. I got talk, no for them, no know they have. Them I go say a on. But every night me need me say a prayer to Jah. Say do not change me out and keep it closer to my left hand. Turn the lights on, hey. Make sure you sit this on your iPhone. All the big finalists are all my tights on, hey. For the finish was a tight one. Okay, turn the lights on, hey. Make sure you sit this on your iPhone. All the big finalists are all my tights on, hey. For the finish was a tight one. Youths, move left them. Yeah, goals of make a you set them. When you want bonus split, you work harder for them. Family me love, so me work harder for them. Yeah, we move left them. Yeah, goals of make a you set them. When you want bonus split, you work harder for them. Family me love, so me work harder for them. Hold on, if this a real life, something about it just not feel right. When criminals are shoot the youths them down, yesterday just want rewrite. Well, I saw it stay from knee height at street fight when man a fire steel pipe. I had man I just a tell you what me feel like. Yeah, get me degree right, flag a parent on a cheap flight and then turn the lights on. Hey, trying to treat me like an iPhone. And look finally so my tights on. Hey, for the finish was a tight one. Yeah, turn the lights on, hey. Make sure you sit this on your iPhone. Only big finally so my tights on, hey. Before the finish was a tight one. Move left them. Goals of make a you set them. When you want bonus split, you work harder for them. Family me love, so me work harder for them. Youths, move left them. Goals of make a you set them. When you want bonus split, you work harder for them. Family me love, so me work harder for them. That's my first item. Now, before we play the next one, I just want to ask everybody a simple question. See? Now, everybody in this room, I know I probably have 3 persons in our life I want to love. 3. Now, take a second and identify those 3 persons right now. Right? Just a second. Let me just go into that second. Identify 3 persons in your life right now that you love dearly. All right, that's your second. By a show of hands, did anybody here say them love themselves as one of the persons? Not many of us really love ourselves, you know. And we don't prioritize ourselves. So there's an inner confidence that we need to have within ourselves that no matter what is going on around us, no matter who is a part of our lives, if we don't love ourselves, if we're not confident in self, we cannot show it to other people. So, play me next track there, please. Now, this one is called Confident. And this is something, a characteristic in life that everyone should have. Mr. Medea, thanks to Jah, full of confidence. Big dreams help me fear, make plans for them. Yeah, man, go for me cheddar, confident. Me confident, man confident. Thank Jah, Medea, thank you Jah. Like alien, me a give them donkey lengths. Me confident, what? Me confident, man confident. Well, most supple, my policy, I'm the ruler. Link the jeweler, couple US, couple euro. 100,000 carats, price value upon the jeweler. Me full of moolah, couple acres for my cruiser. My darling diamond styling, crying shining through my viewer. Jagger you up, them the time that then the crew up. Them different style I find a China. No mountain climber, cause I'm a duo. The freshest style I'm kinda newer. Yeah, become me there, thanks to Jah, full of confidence. Big dreams help mommy fear, me plans for them. Yeah man, go for me cheddar, confident. Me confident, man confident. Thank Jah, me there, thank you Jah. Like alien, me I give them donkey legs. Confident, me confident, confident. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson, for that entertainment piece and, of course, a teaching piece as well. At this time, we're going to now have the presentation of certificates by region. Region 1 will go first. And I'm going to ask that, in the interest of time, we kind of hold our applause until the end of that section by the presenters, and then we can share. So I'm going to invite the region coordinators, Mr. Joseph Heron and Tashana Smith, who will make the presentations for Region 1 to the representatives who participated in Region 1's training to come at this time. They will make the announcement for those persons collecting certificates. Please come.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. So as I said, we're here to present certificates for schools from Region 1. So we're going to go in order, and we're going to ask the schools to promptly and briskly come up and collect their awards. So as we wait, 17 Region 1 schools participated. And I must say that it really was a pleasure. All 17 schools did extremely well. Wouldn't you say so, as one of the facilitators?
Yes, they actually did. Especially, I'm going to call up my Vauxhall people over there. Woo! Yes! So while we wait for Minister, we're going to be calling, even though I just called Vauxhall first, I'm going to be calling Pembroke Hall High.
Following Pembroke Hall, we're going to invite Greenwich Town Primary. Look at the little boy. My gosh. Well done, little man. Lick about Talawa, not so?
Yes, most definitely.
Uh-huh.
Next, we'll have a representative from Denham Town High.
You know, I'm going to yield, so you call the next school.
I will definitely take that opportunity. And the next school is Vauxhall High.
Dean of Discipline and Student Them the proud, man.
Most definitely.
Chat boat. All right. Next up is, you just saw Mr. Wilson performed, Charlie Smith High School. So for Charlie Smith, we have a student, a teacher, and the Dean of Discipline, Mr. Gavin Young, who is representing the principal, Mrs. Leng Smith.
The next on our list is Norman Manley High.
Represented by, look at those three students, them Brighty, and a motherly teacher.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I am calling the next school.
You may go right ahead.
Thank you very much. And now, the only school in this hemisphere named by an emperor, Haile Selassie High School. You see why?
That was a good one. That
Wonderful.
was a good one.
Represented by the one and only principal, Mr. Lorenzo Ellis.
And next on our list is Penwood High. And if a prize should be given for most involved teacher,
Absolutely.
she would get
She
it.
would get it.
She would get
Hands
it.
down.
Yes.
Next
I would
up.
most definitely want to call this
Okay,
one.
I
Yes.
yield, no argument.
St. Peter Claver Primary.
All right.
Wonderful, wonderful. I must say, for that batch, I had somebody who was blind in the batch, and she represented very well. She kept me going. I couldn't rely on the PowerPoint to ensure that she understood what I was saying because she couldn't see. Yeah? So I think that was a really good one.
Next up, now, this school is no stranger to the minister because he was down there during one of the days. So next up, I bet the minister can guess is who. You can guess is who, right, minister? No, man, not in the region one I'm thinking. There you go. See them, I know minister going to know. Augustown Primary School.
Yeah.
To the world parent, after all.
Former Prime Minister? Yes, we didn't do that. Edward Siago, primary. All right, and for the next primary, who was named after one of our past Prime Minister, the Edward Siago Primary.
Thank you, Edward Siago. Next up, we have Holy Family Primary School.
Call the next one. And I'll do the absentees.
Following Holy Family, we have Haile Selassie's little brother or sister school, right next door, Tavares Gardens Primary School. And we have a brave young man leading them, Janoy Matthews, Go Janoi.
Across the Region 1, Kingston and St. Andrew, we do apologize for Oberlin High, Excelsior High, Whitfield Town Primary, St. Anne's Primary for not being with us today.
This concludes Region 1. Thank you very much. And listen up for up next, Region 2.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing? Oh. All right. We adopt all established protocols and we'll go straight into Region 2, all right?
All right. For Region 2, there were 12 schools that were a part of the training who were successful in completing the 2-day restorative practices workshop. It is our esteemed pleasure to now announce the names of those 12 schools.
And we will start with Portland. Buff Bay I. Come on, clap them, man.
Come on, man. Give them a lively round of applause.
All right, second up, Port Antonio High School. Clap them. So for Port Antonio High, we have the representative who is a teacher, who is a parent, and that's good.
And for my parish, which is St. Mary, we have the Orokobesa High School, and we have a representative of the Dean of Discipline, a student, and a teacher. Come on, man, give them a lively round of applause.
And we move over to St. Thomas, and we have Yellow Side. Yes, clap there. And Paul Bogle High School.
And in absentia, we acknowledge the following schools: the Fair Prospect High School, the Titchfield High School, the Horace Clark High School, the Anotobe High School, the Taki High School, the Iona High School, and the St. Thomas Technical High School.
Give it up for Region 2 participants.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We adopt all protocols which have been established. For Region 3, we have a total of 9 students which would have participated in our 2-day restorative practices workshop. It is our esteemed privilege this morning to present to the different representatives of the schools their certificates for participation.
From the Garden Parish of St. Anne, we have Marcus Garvey High.
Marcus Garvey Technical High School, of course, we know, was named in honor of our very first national hero.
Up next, we have Brownstown High. Student, teacher, and parent. Next, we have Ferncourt High. Teacher and student. From the parish of Trelawney, we have Mushat High. Up next, we have Cedric Titus High. Albert Town High. We must acknowledge those who were unable to be here with us today, and in that we have Stairtown Academy, Holland High, and William Knibb Memorial High.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our presentation for Region 3. We now turn over to the presentation for Region 4.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. With all protocols adopted, from Region 4, we have a total of 18 schools that have completed the restorative training program. It is our esteemed pleasure to now announce the names of those schools that are here today.
All right, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Presenting St. James, Glendavon Primary.
And representing Glendavon Primary, we have a student, teacher, guidance counselor, and a parent.
Give them a welcome. Cambridge High School.
And representing Cambridge High School, we have Mr. Hanson, principal, student, parent, and Dean of Discipline.
Followed by Albion Primary.
Student, teacher, parent, and guidance counselor.
For the parish of Westmoreland,
we have Granger High School,
which is represented by the principal, teacher, and 2 students.
From Little London High School, we have Little London. From Westmoreland, we also have Little London High, guidance counselor. Yes, Chair Damon. Thank you. For the parish of Hanover, we have Nakalva Tech, teacher and student. Hopewell High, teacher, student, and parent. Give them a round of applause. Merlin Otti, Dean of Discipline, student, and teacher. Followed by Rhodes Hall High, we have a student, principal, teacher, and senior teacher.
Other schools that participated in the restorative practices training: Anchovy High School, Spot Valley High School, Malden High School, Kernaldy Primary, Godfrey Stewart High, Petersfield High, Maud MacLeod High, Savamar Primary, Sir Clifford Campbell, and Green Island High School. These schools were unfortunate to represent today, but that completes Region 4. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We adopt all protocols that have been established. For Region 5, there were a total of 8 schools who successfully completed the Restorative Practices 2-day workshop. It is our esteemed pleasure to now announce the names of those schools to you. From Manchester, Cool Parish, Winston Jones High, Cross Keys High, Horus High, Homewood Technical, Mile Gully High. This is what they told us to do. Yeah? Somebody just told me to pause.
And from the Breadbasket Parish, which is St. Elizabeth, St. Bess for short, we have Lacovia High School. The team is led by Reverend Dr. Jacob Powell, who is the guidance counselor. We also have teacher Mrs. Annalie Clayton McLeod, student Natoya Williams, and a parent, Kenise Morris Michette. Principal, Mrs. Carrie Ann Vassell, the guidance counselor, a student, Sophie Williams, and a parent, Carrie Ann Brooks. Finally, from St. Bess, we have Black River High, being led by the Vice Principal, Mrs. Claudine Williamson Daly, and student Shanique Hutchinson. In absentia, we'd like to acknowledge two schools who are not here this morning to accept their certificates, and those schools are Winston Jones High and Monroe College. Let's give them a round of applause in their absence.
We now invite you to give a round of applause to Region 5 schools. Thank you. We go straight on?
Good morning. It is our esteemed privilege to introduce to you the schools that were trained in restorative practices for Region 6. And
they were a total of 6 schools represented for Region 6. In the 2-day restorative practice training, it is our esteemed pleasure to announce the name of the schools for you today.
Innswood High,
Eltham High School,
Waterford High,
Enid Bennett High, Tatius Golden High,
ladies and gentlemen, in absentia, we would want to recognize Spanish Town High. Put your hands together for our 6 schools in Region 6, Innswood High, Eltham High, Spanish Town High, Waterford High, Enid Bennett High, and Tatius Golden High.
Thank you. Come this way.
All right, sir, your turn. Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. We had up all protocols already established. From Region 7, there are 9 schools that were trained, and it's our pleasure to now announce those schools.
Kellitz High from the cool hills of Clarendon. Then we have Central High School. You just come and stand and wait here. You do the next one. Next one.
Yeah, man. Next, we have Bustamante High School.
Oh.
Next, Their Technical High School.
Then from there in the plains, we go to the hills of James Hill, Claude McKay High. They will be followed by Watsonton Primary.
Then we'll have Salt Savannah. Salt Savannah.
What's the time? No, man. Which one at
And then A's Primary.
Wait.
Can go now. General announce that Mitchelltown at here.
Mitchelltown completes the list, but they are unavoidably absent today. So we want to thank all the schools from Clarendon who participated in this wonderful training. Thank you very much.
Okay, now, big round of applause for all the participants. And congratulations on all of you who received your certificates. And even those persons who are absent, your certificates will be dispatched to you. And to all the presenters from Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Justice, thank you so much for your participation and contribution to today's function. Now we'll hear from a trainer, Miss Lindsay. Mr. Leon Malcolm from the Ministry of Justice, one of our trainers. He will speak to us briefly on the part that he played as a trainer in these two-day training sessions. Mr. Malcolm, make Mr. Malcolm welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Leon Malcolm, Parish Manager for Restorative Justice St. Mary. So my experience as a trainer, definitely, by this you'd realize that it wasn't an easy one. All right, so with different institutions comes different responsibilities, to be honest with you. Some were prepared, some weren't. So going into the schools, you had to have an open mind, definitely saying that you have to work with the institution to try and materialize or get the results that we anticipated. So you had to go and do site visits prior to ensure that everything was ready, everyone was prepared, all the necessaries were done. Even on some of the days, you know, when you show up, wasn't the best, but we still had to make it work because we had a goal. And I think we would have accomplished that. Some of the key takeaways, I think, not just for myself, but for a number of others, would have been that we had to drift from that of the ordinary plan of action, because we realized that to make the message more impactful, we had to employ some more traditional means to getting the message across to our young people. So, and our young at heart as well, the parents and the teachers who were present. So in order to do that, we had to ensure that we either use up the patois a bit more, place some more emphasis on some other areas to let persons relate to what we're saying. Because we had to let you know that this won't reinvent the whole type of process that they may have in the schools, but this is a supplement. This is something that you will gain from in establishing your practices in dispute resolution within the schools. So we had to, quote-unquote, wing it a number of times, but I think in the end we definitely came through with an excellent first batch of graduates, and I am proud to say that you all would have made your individual parishes and collectively our island proud. So I am definitely glad to be here with you all, and that is my testimony. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Malcolm, who would have shared with you his experience as a trainer in the program. Now, we're almost at the end, but before we close off, we'll then hear from Mr. Richard Troop, Director, Safety and Security in Schools Unit, who will take us through what are the next steps that are being planned to expand this program. Mr. Troop?
Thank you, Mrs. Grace and Stuart McFarlane. It is amazing how P.S. McFarlane would have chaired today's ceremony. Evidence of our commitment as P.S. of the Ministry of Justice to this very important partnership, don't it? So let's give her a big round of applause. When Miss Lindsay told me it was her PS chairing, I said, "Are you certain?" do you realize this is a 2-hour program? She said, PS would have it no other way. So in order to speak to next step, let me just reference some important pillars on which phase 1 would have been built that would represent the foundation for the continuity of our partnership moving forward. Our honorable ministers, Favored Williams and Minister Delroy Chuck, would not have only signed a memorandum of understanding to nestle this very important project. It is suggesting that it's bigger than our 2 ministers, bigger than Mrs. Lindsay and myself, that this partnership will be sustained beyond phase 1. Both ministers have not only signed the MOU, but both ministers have took personal ownership of the process. That's why they would have journeyed to Augustown. That's why they would have journeyed to Stets and spent the entire day at both, well, not the entire day, but the entire program, the duration of the program at these 2 institutions. Colleagues, it is not by coincidence. God have some things, work out some things a particular way. You know that, right? So I'm assuming many of you would have seen All Angle this Tuesday that would have referenced the issue of school violence, violence in our schools. It's very important. I was happy that that program would have also looked at violence in a broader context. We cannot fix violence in schools without having a conversation and a strategy of fixing violence in our entire society, because our school is a microcosm of the wider society. So this partnership was committed to impact 104 schools. 81 schools would have completed the training. Over 2,398 participants. That is a big deal. Let's give yourself a round of applause. And we have done something that we do not necessarily do very often. We have not only executed an excellent program, facilitated by the partnership of 2 hard-working ministers and hard-working ministries, but we are also telling our story. Because too often we do good things, but nobody knows. And so do not misunderstand or undervalue what we are doing today. Do you know we are streaming live to the world? You know that, right? Yes, man. So make sure you put up your to the world face. Yeah, this is beaming to the world as we speak. Yes. RGR would be here doing a live outside broadcast with none other than Mr. Shields, you know, there's a big media personality. Because we want to celebrate our story. We want to do what? We want to celebrate our story. Your contribution to the process has also been very important. Principals and educators and students and parents. Because you didn't have to say yes. But you said it's one of the first programs that the response would have been so tremendous from our schools. You have made your facilities open to us, irrespective of the state of those facilities. Yes? You have made it open for the program. You would have committed your team to be a part of the program. But equally importantly, you would have taken the time to journey to Kingston today. Principal from, I think it was Grange Hill High said to me, Sir Troop, do you realize that to be here today, I had to be up from 3 o'clock in the morning, meeting the parties to the delegation of my school to be here. Give yourself a big round of applause. The success is a collective responsibility, colleagues. We are celebrating this as a team. Yes? And so I was glad that JC would have also made the facilities available. Yes, again, evidence of the partnership. Yes, what a beautiful facility. But probably even more important for me, yes, was even the male students. We always say our men are the violence producers of our nation, but we do not give the space for them to articulate, to demonstrate to not us Jamaican, but to the world. Yes, the amazing talent of our Jamaican men and boys. And we add that on display today. Yes, understand that these are the pillars on which phase 2 will be built. And what is phase 2? 104 schools come September. The last week of September, we're going to start training another 104 schools. And we will do this every term because we are committed to impact every single school. Now, colleagues, Dr. Troop would always say, look here, this is not about numbers. So we're happy to see thousands of persons trained. We're happy to see X numbers of school engaged. But we want to see the application of the learning. We want to see the application. And how is it that we are expecting this in the next step? Minister Chuck would have indicated a number of restorative justice centers. Colleagues, principals, and educators, I am encouraging you beyond the training that you would have been experiencing, that you use the restorative justice centers as a tool to treat with student infraction, to treat with the struggle sometimes we have with parents. I don't want to be tracking suspensions and expulsions. We also want to be tracking the evidence of our schools who would have been in the training, referring students and parents and sometimes staff members too, to the RJ centers for intervention. Because beyond suspensions and expulsions, we want to heal our community. Everybody understand that? So that is a part of the next step. The next step is not just for us only. Next step is also big for you. Already, some of our schools, our principals have been asking RJ, can we also organize a session for all our educators in the school? Int, please ask. Ask the restorative justice centers in your spaces. They are prepared to use our scheduled professional development sessions to also facilitate this training, deliver this training to all your educators in the school system. Isn't that a good thing? Please make, yeah man, clap them so thank you. Please make use of that opportunity. The other thing I'd like to see as a next step, because as we expose our educators and parents and students to the restorative practices training session, 2 days, we are also encouraging our educators and parents to also make themselves available to be trained as facilitators. Yes, this is another opportunity for our schools. We want to ensure that we have persons within our school system, within each school, resident in our school, to deliver the training, to deliver the philosophy of this program to our education system, and then we are looking to you for that. So this is not, as we celebrate, a major partnership and a major program that, don't you think was very successful? Let me hear a major hand clap. So, louder than that. Remember, we're beaming to the world. And finally, colleagues, when we talk about next step, please don't look at these programs and the first thing you look at is budget. A lot of this was done without budget. Hello? A lot of this was done without cash up front. Remember the program years ago, we had this partnership. It was about 2 educators being identified by the school leader to go to this training normally held in a hotel. We know we can't replace that kind of vibes, right? But do not underestimate the value to the program when you made your schools available for hosting the sessions. Do not underestimate the value of a Jamaica college making its facilities available to celebrate the closing ceremony. Do not underestimate the strong partnerships that we already have. I see Inspector Johnson over that side. Inspector Johnson, stand a little bit. Because too often we see you now in our schools when something bad happens and you're saying to us, be strong because we lost a student or something like that. This partnership is also very important, colleagues, our partnership with our police, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the Community Safety and Security branch of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. So we are anticipating that when we build out this program, we are not struggling with budget. Because I'm saying to you, there are so many things that we can do without budget. Not that this wasn't some cost associated to it, you know. But we're saying we were not daunted to start. When we started in response to the violence in schools. Dr. Troop said, what are we doing? We said, Dr. Troop, all right, we will partner with the Ministry of Justice to do 25 schools. Dr. Troop said, Mr. Troop, do you understand the urgency of the matter? Where we're going with 25 schools. And so guided by her wisdom and P.S. Dwyer's wisdom, 104 schools was targeted in phase 1, 104 schools were targeted in phase 2, and when we reach a phase 3, another 104 schools we are going to target. So give yourself a round of applause, colleagues, for being a part of history and being committed to the continuity of this excellent partnership and excellent program. Thank you so very much.
Okay. Thank you so much. You hear the enthusiasm, you catch the fever. So like a pilgrim, evangelist for the program, one of ministers, apostles for the Restorative Justice program. And you heard, I don't need to add to what Mr. Troop has said in terms of our next step. But you know, while Mr. Troop was speaking about the different persons who are involved, I got to thinking this is just really, Minister, it's an excellent program. It really captures everybody. We have the policymakers, we have the police, we have parents, church, school, and the best place, I believe, to catch, in an emerging Jamaica, our children, the home and the school. So those coming up now will learn to solve issues, and hopefully it will resonate across the island. Now, as we come closer to the end, let me just welcome Dr. Tamika Benjamin, National Mathematics Coordinator, who is here representing the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Youth, Mrs. Maureen Dwyer, who unfortunately could not have been here with us today. So, Dr. Benjamin, may I invite you to come at this time and give the vote of thanks on behalf of P.S. Dwyer.
Master of Ceremonies, Mrs. Grace Ann Stewart McFarlane, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Justice, the Honorable Delroy Chuck, Minister of Justice, the Honorable Favour Williams, Minister of Education and Youth, Dr. Kassan Troop, Acting Chief Education Officer, Mr. Richard Troop, Director, Safety and Security in Schools Unit, Acting, other representatives of the Ministries of Justice and Education and Youth, principals, teachers, deans of discipline, parents, students, representatives of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, other specially invited guests, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Great. So it's a pleasure and an honor to deliver the vote of thanks for today's ceremony. Today marks a significant milestone and a positive step forward in Jamaica's efforts to improve how we as citizens resolve conflicts. The continued successful implementation of the program will certainly take us closer to making Vision 2030 a reality. That is, making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. It has been an absolute pleasure listening to the testimonials shared and learning about the training program and its impact on the lives of trainees and trainers alike. All of this was accomplished through a partnership between the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Education and Youth. I think we need to give another round of applause. I'd therefore like to extend our appreciation to the Honorable Delroy Chuck, Minister of Justice, for taking this time to share with us the steps needed to make his vision for restorative justice a reality, and for putting the importance of this training program in context. To the Honorable Favour Williams, Minister of Education and Youth, we thank you for connecting the dots of restorative practices on the lives of our students and the wider society. To Ms. Andreen Lindsay, Restorative Justice Coordinator, we express our appreciation for sharing with us an overview of the program. To Mr. Richard Troop, Director Acting, Safety and Security in Schools Unit in the Ministry of Education and Youth, we want to thank you for sharing with us the next steps for this initiative. We look forward to launching and seeing the completion of Phase 2 and 3 of the program in another 208 schools in total. We recognize that many hours would have gone into preparing and delivering the workshops, and that today represents the culmination of that work. In that regard, I also want to acknowledge and thank the participants who shared their personal experiences and those who were committed to participating in all of the training sessions. On behalf of us all, we extend thanks and appreciation to the administration of the Jamaica College for accommodating us today, and to Mrs. Grace Ann Stewart McFarlane, who ably guided this morning's proceedings, and also to the organizers from both ministries for the collaborative effort put together to host today's events. We thank all of you for making the time to be with us today and for helping us to make this certificate ceremony a success. Thanks to you all.
And thank you, Dr. Tamika Benjamin, for the vote of thanks so ably done. A round of applause for Dr. Benjamin, please. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are now at the end of today's program. Let us clap ourselves. I believe we did very well with time, and so we are able to get persons out fed and out and to get back home safely. I know some persons have traveled as far as from Westmoreland. And it is so good that everybody made themselves available to be here. So now you're going to be working action. You're going to be practicing what you were taught, and you're also going to be extending it in your homes, in your communities, in your workplace. Believe it or not, the ministry has also been getting requests from entities, workplaces, asking us to come in to do some sessions with staff, because conflict is really everywhere. All right, now that we're at the end, I'm going to ask if you could just bear with us a few minutes longer. As we, Miss Lindsay, we're going to be having some regional pictures with the ministers. So region 1, if you could just gather at the front, we're going to take you region by region. And as soon as you've taken your picture, you can proceed to collect your lunches, and then you may go. So can I start with region 1? If you could just come to the front for a group picture, and I'm going to invite Minister Chuck and Minister Williams to join you in that picture. Huh? Interview? Oh. Minister Chuck went for an interview, but Minister Williams is still here? Oh, she's gone to another meeting. Well, Mrs. Troop, Mr. Troop, well, Dr. Troop, Mrs. Troop, all the coordinators, and of course our host, Mr. Winter. Can I ask you to just join with the regions for the pictures, please? And of course, RJ officers, none of this would have been possible without you as well. So kudos to you. So I need the RJ officers from the regions to be present in the pictures as well. My thing was up there.
Oh, thank God. Well, I'm thinking...
Like the RJ officers from the region.
That's what I could say that. We,
so,
ops team in place to the changes.
So they're coming up?
Well, they're lining them accordingly. We're very organized. It's quick. We organized it. You should have seen us rehearsing.
So, all right. Region 1, if you could just proceed to the platform. With the corresponding RJ and MOE trainers.
So the Region 1, Joseph Heron. Well, they know who they are. They'll call their names. Oh, look at this little boy. Seriously.
Line them up. So, it's not going to work, Mr. Troop. You sure we don't need to move the tables down or something? I don't know.